Happy Friday, everyone. Our transition out of the deep freeze coming at a cost. We have a freezing fog and freezing rain advisory today. I'll have the details on that. The first alert forecast coming up.
And someone in Madison was listening to those minimum wage protests. We're checking both sides of the debate regarding whether or not the state's base pay rate should be increased.
A house in northern Wisconsin goes up in flames after a big explosion. What investigators found at the scene, that's extra concerning.
And we're checking on your traffic conditions for you this morning as we take a live look through our exclusive iCam video right there. Andy Ravelli driving around the freeway system here in the Milwaukee area. We'll get you updated on everything you need to know before you get behind the wheel this morning.
We are the CBS 58 Morning News with Nate Custer and Jessica Ty.
Good Friday morning, everyone. It is January 10th. I'm Jessica Ty.
And I'm Nate Custer. We have several developing stories to bring you today. Wisconsin legislative Democrats will introduce a bill to raise the state's minimum wage. CBS 58's Matt Doyle is live with a reaction. Plus, we've got both sides of the debate from some of Wisconsin's leaders in Madison.
Plus, there is a chance for freezing rain later on today. Meteorologist Lance Hill has a look ahead for you.
Yeah, and before that freezing rain hits, we have freezing fog across the area. Just seeing reports of a rollover accident up in Sheboygan County along I-43 and Highway 28. Be careful on the roadways with freezing fog. Temperatures are down below freezing. Untreated roadways could certainly become slick as we go throughout this morning. That goes until noon today. Look at our temperatures with dense fog expanding around the area between 25 to about 28 degrees. And then later today, with temperatures right around freezing, about 30 to 32, we're going to have some rain develop around the area. So that could be freezing on contact as well. So throughout today, just exercise extreme caution on the roadways, especially this morning and then again later on this afternoon. Our forecast for today, looking for high temperatures eventually topping out by late in the afternoon or evening into the mid-30s. That will change any freezing rain over to all rain, which then changes back to snow overnight tonight. We'll have details on that, of course, and take you hour by hour through that forecast in just a few minutes, Nate.
Thank you very much, Lance. Time now is 6:32 on this Friday morning, and after a year of demonstrations by minimum wage workers in Wisconsin, some state lawmakers are now pushing for an increase. Democrats will introduce legislation that would eventually raise Wisconsin's base pay from $7.25 an hour to more than $10, something Governor Scott Walker does not support.
I'm focused on helping people get jobs that pay far more than the minimum wage. You don't get that by forcing businesses to drive out young workers like I was when I started as a kid at McDonald's.
Yeah, I can't say it enough that these individuals who are working these poverty wage jobs have the resources to be able to meet their basic needs and be able to provide food for their families without taking advantage of public assistance. And really, you know, when you really look at the bottom line, taxpayers are footing the bills for these individuals who are on public assistance and making these poverty wages.
And that last comment coming from State Senator Nakia Harris, who represents Milwaukee. She's one of the supporters of the minimum wage increase bill. She joined us live in the studio early this morning for some comments about the issue. And our top story this morning remains that legislation that would have gradually raised Wisconsin's minimum wage from $7.25 to $10.10 per hour and index it to inflation. That's circulating throughout the State House of Madison. A lot of people talking about it, too. Several Wisconsin Democrats sponsored that bill and getting a lot of traction on this while also causing some concern. CBS 58's Matt Doyle is live this morning with some folks who are right in the middle of this debate. Matt.
Well, State Senator Harris said it earlier on the show that this is really about starting the conversation in Madison about this potential legislation that would raise the minimum wage to more than $10 an hour. Now, many people have seen the protests in the city of Milwaukee, around the state of Wisconsin, and across the country where there's been special interest groups getting groups of local fast food workers together to protest and try and demand a higher wage for the work that they do, saying that $7.25 an hour just isn't enough to raise a family or even hardly support themselves. It's under, when it comes to about $15,000 a year, which is under the poverty line. Now, we've been talking to some waitresses here at Pegasus Restaurant in West Allis. Now, waitress wage is a little bit different. We've also been talking to people, and there's varying opinions about this, and the conversation continues to be depending on how people look at it. You know, some people support raising the minimum wage. Others say it just will make prices go up. Now, one waitress we spoke with, she supports raising the minimum wage, but also wonders about the outside effects it'll have.
Oh, God, yes. But then, see, the restaurant, too, is not busy enough. So how are they going to pay us more money per hour if we don't have customers because they raised the price on the menu? You know what I'm saying? That way. That's what I
And we want you to join the conversation as well on our CBS 58 Facebook page. We have a comment section on there as well where a lot of people have commented. Last time I checked, there was more than 140 comments about it. So go on there and voice your opinion about it. We also have a poll up on CBS58.com. We're looking to hear from you. We are live in West Allis. Matt Doyle, CBS 58 News.
And that brings us to today's poll question. Where do you stand on this issue? Are you for a minimum wage hike in Wisconsin or against it? You can sound off on our website, CBS58.com, and vote in our morning news poll. And we have already gotten a lot of responses from you on our CBS 58 Facebook page.
Yeah, we wanted to share some of those with you. I've been going through them, and for the most part, so far, most of our comments are against raising the minimum wage. People like Rex are saying, quote, raising minimum wage will not only force employers to cut hours and jobs, it will also raise the cost of the goods that these businesses are selling. But we do have a couple of comments in favor, including Linda Estrada, who says, need the money to live. I agree. 6:36, you can chime in as well. Looking ahead, bills to fight the effects of heroin in the state of Wisconsin are on track to get a full assembly vote on Tuesday.
I'm here as a father of 3 beautiful children, one of which died from heroin.
I can't fix my son, believe me. I've been trying for 4 years.
It was an emotional hearing in Madison yesterday as one by one, parents, doctors, and addicts shared their connection to heroin overdoses and how new legislation can help save lives. The bill being debated would allow those who call 911 for someone overdosing on hard drugs to be immune from prosecution.
My daughter was found dead at a Super 8 motel in Hudson on May 18th because she went into overdose distress in the bathroom, vomiting. Instead of the young man calling for help, 911, they laid her on the bed and they left. And they left her to die.
This bill and another that would help paramedics be able to deal with potential overdoses were first proposed by Republican lawmaker John Nygren. Nygren's daughter nearly died of an overdose. A stolen flash drive containing the personal information of 6,000 City of Milwaukee employees has now been recovered. The flash drive was in a vehicle stolen on October 22nd in Milwaukee. It belonged to an employee of Dynacare, a contractor for the city's wellness program. The vehicle was recovered on November 10th, but the flash drive and a Dynacare bag were missing. On Monday, police investigating an unrelated violent crime near 20th and Hampton found that flash drive and the bag. Forensic testing at this point indicates the information on that drive was not compromised. Police have arrested a 17-year-old, but city officials are still upset with Dynacare because it didn't notify Milwaukee officials about that flash drive until 24 days after it was stolen.
This does not resolve Dynacare, in my mind, of the mistakes that it made. We're still not pleased with the cooperation or lack of cooperation with Dynacare.
Dynacare did not have a formal statement about the flash drive recovery, but it is thankful to police for getting it back. Mayor Barrett says he does not believe this was a sophisticated attempt to get personal information.
6:38 right now, and we have the video that some hope will get a fired transit worker his job back. And you hear that woman screaming there. This is video that was shot on board a Milwaukee County Transit bus, and there are several minutes of a woman screaming. Outside and out of view of that camera, Supervisor William Bierman was breaking up a fight between a woman and her boyfriend. The transit system fired him because they say his actions opened them up to possible liability. But considering that he stayed with the broken down bus and did not impede service, many supporters are now pressing for him to be rehired.
And I see somebody hearing a woman who's obviously in distress and not standing idly by. And there was nothing in that video that would justify that I saw, at least in the video, making a decision to terminate, and that's why we've asked Transit to reconsider.
And Bierman has received awards and commendations for his actions from last October. So far, Milwaukee County Transit has not said if it's considering reinstating him. And investigators have found what they're calling suspicious devices at the site of a home explosion. The blast rocked the Wausau neighborhood just before 7 a.m. yesterday. Hardly anything was left of the house. Marathon County Sheriff's officials saying that the devices they found have been taken care of and the scene is now safe. Investigators would not say what the devices looked like, and it's still unclear if anyone was home at the time of that explosion. So far, there's been no accounting for the man who lives there, a loner, according to neighbors.
I've got a captain that just lives across the street here, right next to the homestead there, and his house windows and house just shook. He said that he never felt anything like that before. And it just rattled his windows, and that's not that far away.
At last check, no remains have been found in the rubble. The sister of the man who lives there says police are being ridiculous, calling the devices suspicious. She says he stores fireworks in the basement and often tinkers with lawnmower parts.
All right, 6:40 right now. Have Americans turned into weather wimps? An Associated Press report quotes scientists who say that the country is getting fewer the kind of deep freeze weather events like we've had this week, and we just don't remember them from the past. One climate scientist says our memory about climate is really terrible, and this cold event feels more extreme than it actually is. So, Lance, we pose the question to you. What do you think? Are we weather wimps?
Well, I think when we see people walking around in shorts and T-shirts today because we hit the mid-30s, a wimp's not going to do that. I mean, this is this is going to feel like a heat wave for us. And you know what? This was extremely cold stuff for us, and I don't think we're weather wimps at all around here. Now, it is interesting how you do tend to get used to it. All of a sudden, yesterday at -20 didn't feel nearly as bad as it did on Monday when we first hit the teens, the 20s below zero. But today we're in the 20s above zero, but we're still in the 20s. We're still below freezing. So we've gotten rid of the Arctic air, but it's coming at an expense. We have warm air moving into the area. That's creating a layer of fog around the area with temperatures below freezing. It is freezing fog. Please be careful on the roadways. We will have some slick spots, sidewalks as well. Just watch your first step out the door this morning. Here's a live look at 27th and Oklahoma, 26 degrees. You can see the fog out there. Notice our dew point is at 25, so we're just about saturated out at the airport, 97% our relative humidity. Everywhere temperatures back below freezing, mid to now upper 20s over Racine and Kenosha. The other part of this problem is going to be rain developing later on as we go into this afternoon. After about 1 or 2 o'clock, we're going to see some rain with temperatures back below freezing still, right around 30 to 32 degrees. So that rain is going to be freezing on contact up around 5,000 feet. Temperature is going to be about 35 to 38 degrees. So it'll be liquid there, then freezing on contact at the surface. Meanwhile, north and west of here, if you're doing some traveling today, central Wisconsin winter weather advisory is kicking in this afternoon. So let's track that for you here, hour by hour with your Friday precision forecast. Again, we're dry through the morning other than that freezing fog. Still need to be careful there. And then notice by 3 o'clock, here comes first round of some moisture expanding across the area. Purple shades, freezing rain, maybe a little bit of sleet mixing in, and then eventually changing over to all rain. But even at 5 o'clock, especially north and west of Milwaukee, we're still going to have freezing rain coming down across the area. And then overnight, it changes to all rain as temperatures continue to warm as a low pressure system passes right overhead. And then by midnight, well, we'll start to wrap in some colder air. That will change some rain showers over to snow showers, but very little, if any, accumulation anticipated around southeast Wisconsin from this storm system. This will be mainly liquid once it changes from that freezing rain. So a wintry mix developing this afternoon. 36 our high, 35 with some morning snow showers tomorrow, 36 on Sunday, a good day to get outside and maybe take down some of the Christmas celebrations. And then into next week, some light snow early in the week will cool us off in the mid-20s by Wednesday. I'll be back with that 10-day forecast for you coming up in the next 10 minutes, Nate.
Thank you very much, Lance. Time now 6:43, and before you head out the door, make sure you come take a look at your TV for a moment and see our exclusive iCam. Andy Bravelli is out on the roads in your community, and you can tell right there that there are some foggy conditions to deal with, as Lance has mentioned. Freezing fog, in fact, is a problem there. So, in the meantime, Andy, what can you tell us about what you're experiencing in that drive that you've got going on now?
Good morning to you, Nate. It's actually not too bad around the Milwaukee area. Obviously, you do have the fog to contend with, but people, for the most part, have been taking their time. Now, the freeway system is in pretty good shape. The roadways are wet, but I have not encountered any slick spots right now. As we've been mentioning all morning long, just watching on those secondary roads, on the roadways that are not as well treated as the freeway system, they might still be a little slick this morning. Very easy to spin out when conditions are like this. Obviously, give yourself a little bit of extra time this morning to contend with this fog. But again, like I said, people seem to be taking their time this morning, so be careful.
Thank you so much, Andy. Of course, the timing of the Friday commute certainly helps things out, as things are typically a little lighter. I just checked for you right now. Those major routes into the city, all doing very good this time. There is an accident to tell you about right now, though. This is actually out in Sheboygan, in Sheboygan County, I should say. I-43 northbound Highway 28, and there's an accident right there. You see all those emergency vehicles on the scene there. And again, that is I-43. That is in the northbound direction at Highway 28, and that is the result of an accident this morning.
Well, busted pipes are never good, but in a recent case here, there's actually a happy ending. It has a couple smiling big this morning.
That's good news right there. And somebody forgot to tell this TV weather forecaster to keep his distance from the ice on a river because, hey, that ice is moving around. You see it right there.
huge ice.
And it could get messy outside today, but you have to appreciate how much milder the temperatures are. Enjoy it, but please do drive carefully this morning.